What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. Y'all see how I'm smiling? Why would I not be smiling? Why would I not be smiling? This was easily the biggest win of the year for the Dolphins. Defining all the odds. The line for the game was 9.5 before. I said the Dolphins would cover the spread. I did not think we would win the game, but I thought it would be closer than experts said. And the Dolphins said, whatever with that spread, we getting dubs. A la Jameis Winston. We don't eat W's down here, but I just think that's funny that he does that. Let's just talk about it. This is the biggest win the Dolphins have had this year. And I think arguably the biggest win of both Tua and Coach McDaniel's career. Yes, they've beaten the Buffalo Bills before, but it hasn't felt this dire going into a game. Buffalo literally just beat Kansas City and looked like this is the class of the AFC. Best team in the East. Obviously the East, but not even. I guess the Patriots are. But if you saw the betting odds, it was Buffalo, Detroit, Philadelphia, Chiefs. Those were like the class of four that were like, these are the best teams. And Buffalo was sitting on top of it. Josh Allen was betting favorite for MVP. He just beat Mahomes. And then they were coming down to South Beach to play the Dolphins. 9.5-point favorites. Dolphins, we know how we've looked recently. It's been bad. Okay? It's been bad. And the Dolphins literally played the best and most complete game they played this year. This was actually very similar to the Atlanta game, except the competition was much higher. Atlanta also had Kirk Cousins in that game, who, let's be honest, at this point is not an NFL caliber quarterback. The Buffalo Bills had Josh Allen, who is the reigning MVP. So you can't even compare the two. And in that Atlanta game, I think the spread was like less than 2. It could have gone either way. It was more like a home field, not home field situation. Buffalo was that big a favorite on the road, which means odds makers said this is not going to be a game. This is this versus this. And listen, man, everybody came to play. I think the coordinators did a great job. The defense early on set the tone. Multiple 3-and-outs, getting after Josh Allen. The pass rush that was generated while not having Chop in the game blew my mind. Some of it was scheme with just like pressure. Some of it was just effort. Guys were just like really like making moves. They were all over him the whole game. They rallied and tackled very well. James Cook didn't kill the team. There's 1 or 2 times he got to the outside. I'm like, oh God, don't let James get loose, because we've seen James Cook run for over 200 yards in a game, and he's 1 tackle away from being gone. They kept him in place. Buffalo's receivers aren't elite, but Josh is. And Josh basically allows them to be great. He holds the ball. He directs them. They get schemed up by Joe Brady with a bunch of crossing routes and that kind of thing. All that got shut down. And shout out to Coach McDaniel and Coach Weaver, man. They really, really locked in. They coached those boys up. I mean, they had hope. They believed they can win the game, which I've always felt the reason the Buffalo games sometimes get out of hand is because the team doesn't actually believe they can beat Buffalo. They go into the game like, we got to play Big Daddy Josh, and then Josh makes a play, and it's like, oh, there it is. Oh, this is going to happen. And then they just start imploding. I'm like, dude, you guys are right there. Just don't give it up. And so often they do. This was the best win the team has had this year. We'll talk later if this is the best win for Coach McDaniel, but big shout out to them, man. Great win. I'm smiling. I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be happy? Now, I will admit, I did not start the game happy at all. First of all, we called a timeout on the very first play of the game, which immediately, I'm not going to lie to you, I stood up and walked around, because I've talked many times on this channel about game management and how we use timeouts, pre-start penalties, all that stuff. And when you call a timeout off rip, I just said, okay, I see what kind of game it is. And then that same drive, Tua throws a punt pick, which is his specialty. Most of his picks, just balloon balls down the field, easy pick. He threw the pick, and I said, so we burned the timeout and got a pick on the first drive. Cool. I know what's about to happen now. But to Tua's credit, man, immediately came back on the next possession, went down there and got a touchdown. And then we scored another touchdown after that, and he managed the game from there. He threw another punt pick down the line. We don't love those. We're now currently leading the league in picks. Don't love that. But I thought Tua managed this game well. I thought he made the throws that needed to be made. Here's the big thing. Tua was not sacked today. You know how crazy that is? No sacks today. I was like, there was a couple times they got near him and he kind of got out of there. He made a play or two, but he played, to me, it's not a clean game. He made the plays he needed to make, and the picks didn't hurt us because the defense held him down. That's complimentary football. Usually those picks result in Buffalo scoring, and now we're down, and then we start pressing and we turn the ball over more. We threw the moon pick, 3 and out. Get the ball right back. So it's like, hey, I messed up. Defense said, we got you, bro. We locked in. They locked in. And he made the right throws. The touchdown to Waddle, one of his better throws of the year. The throw was still a little bit late, but Waddle, again, was so far past his defender, he was able to kind of like track it and still catch it. It would have been PI regardless. We would have got the ball inside the 3, but he dropped it in there. And I was super happy for that. And Waddle really redeemed some people who thought he needed to be traded. Y'all know I'm pro Waddle, so I'm happy he stayed. But he showed I can still be the number one. Like, Waddle's averaging 80 to 90 yards a game and a touchdown as the starting receiver. Now, I would like him to be over 100, sure. But part of that is because we haven't been great at throwing the ball just in general. I mean, Tua routinely goes under 200 yards, so it's very difficult for him to have 100 yards receiving when your quarterback is throwing for, today, 173. But Tua, I thought, didn't wilt to the moment of playing Josh. I thought the Baltimore game, Tua didn't play his best. I think Lamar came back. There was some like fanfare. Baltimore's defense has not been great most of the year, but it just seemed like he was trying to do a tit-for-tat thing. In this game, it seemed like, yeah, I know that's Josh Allen over there, but so what? And he just played his game. He made a couple good reads. They moved the pocket a little bit. He made good throws. He didn't, I mean, again, the 2 punt picks are notwithstanding, but I didn't see a lot of turnover-worthy throws. I'll say that, because sometimes you only have 1 or 2 picks, but you could have had 4 or 5. I didn't see that today. I just saw, hey, this is what defense is giving us. Boom, 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 boom. He took what was there. And once he got the lead, he didn't do anything really, again, outside of the second pick, to put us in position to not the lead. He didn't fumble the ball on a sack, and it goes rolling the other way for 30 yards, and they pick and scoop it. Like, he did his job. He played within himself. He looked confident. I mean, the throw to Waddle was a confident throw. It's about a 45 to 50-yard throw in the air, like with the back pylon as a second defender, more or less. So you got to drop it in there. You can't just throw it into the field and just say, go get it. It's a confident throw. He made a couple throws to the outer boundaries where it's like, that's a 30, 40-yard throw in the air. He put him out there. So shout out to Tua. You bounced back. We've been talking a lot about the trades and whether to bench you or to cut you, what have you. Tua showed up today. And was it perfect? Nope. Not at all. But was it effective enough? Yep. Can you win with this version of Tua? If we play this level of defense, yes. Of course, I don't want my quarterback to have 2 picks. And both picks were very avoidable. But I'm giving the good because there was enough good to outweigh that bad. So shout out to Tua, man. Good job. But we got to talk about the man of the hour, the most electrifying man on the team today, Devon Achane. I was watching this game with a friend of mine, and I kept saying throughout the game, man, I feel like Devon is 1 missed tackle or 1 block away from housing it. All game I was saying that before he started breaking touchdowns. And he was like, yeah, I feel like he's right there, but like they're not getting that 1 more block. He's not making that 1 little cut. And then he broke his first long touchdown run. And we saw it was exactly that. It was 1 missed tackle, out of there. And then late in the game to put it away, he made a juke in a hole and just completely abused some dude's ankles. I don't even know who it was. I didn't even bother to find out. Hopefully he's still with us, RIP. And then he just struck out. And again, I was like, this is the guy we've been waiting for. Devon Achane, 225 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, the most electrifying man in the game. 22 carries. We've been talking about it. Get this man the ball. I said, for y'all who watched the episode yesterday when you're watching this, we should be running the ball. We should ideally see all 3 running backs control the game, shorten possessions. I think Devon's going to do well. And then he did exactly what that was. 22 carries is a lot. I don't necessarily want that many. I think that 17, 18 is a good range for him. But if he's breaking them like that, then the fear of him running the ball is great because guys are like trying to figure out what angle they want to take. They don't want to take the wrong angle and he get out of there, especially when you break 2 of them. This was the quintessential Devon Achane again. He had 6 catches. He broke long runs. He did some of the short yardage stuff. And again, there were some 1-2 yard carries in there. You have to live with those carries. I've been saying since the offseason, y'all know this. I want a 60-40 run pass split. We had 32 rushes today, 21 pass attempts. I'm not a mathematician. But I'm just saying, hey, I don't teach math, but 32 rushes, 21 passes feels kind of like what I've been asking for all season. That's the formula. I don't want Tua throwing the ball 30, 35, 40 times. That doesn't work for the team. If he's throwing the ball that many times, that means we're losing. And we don't come back well losing. That's not our game. That's Tampa's game. That's, the Chiefs do that. Buffalo can do that. We need to have the lead and just kind of ride it out. If we're down 14-17 late, that's not what we do. So if Tua's throwing the ball that many times, we are in a bad place. I want Tua 3rd and 4 less as much as possible. Dink and dunk, and occasionally when teams start sucking up, hit them over the top. That's what I want for Tua. Running the ball, again, is an attitude, but it's a consistency thing. You have to prove to teams that you're willing to do it. If they're going to play too high, which they have for the last year and a half against us because of Tyreek and Jalen, you have to run them out of that. You have to. And when you don't, you're playing into their hands. Devon broke those long runs, fine. I thought Jalen Wright had some good runs today. We had Jalen Wright sighting. Where's this guy been? He had a couple good runs today. Like, it's something that I would have liked to see more. Ollie Gordon, he had 1 carry for negative yards again. I think that's his 3rd game this year with 0 or less yards. That almost seems incomprehensible, but that's fine. What it means is that the offensive line gets to go forward. Part of the reason Tua didn't get sacked is because we were able to run the ball. And then when we didn't run the ball, we could actually play action, which we don't do because we don't run the ball enough. We go through a motion of play action, but linebackers aren't scared. They're like, they ain't going to run the ball. But when you're running the ball for real, and then you hit that, and then you come out the other side, when Tua was loading up for some of these throws, he has such a beautiful pocket that he could actually step into his throws and not be afraid of being hit and concussed. Step into his throw, let it go, point to the crowd, dap up the coaches. Like, he was doing all this stuff. As opposed to, I'm in the pocket, 3rd and 4. Oh, man, the defense is coming down on me. I got to get the ball out quick. He looked so confident. The running game makes everything better. The O-line looked good today, which I never thought I would say because they've been awful most of the year. They look good today. And it happens because you're controlling the game. You're scoring. In the red zone, we took advantage and got touchdowns when we got, really close. Other than that, we had a couple field goals. But we scored touchdowns when we needed to. You got field goals to pad the lead. And then you ran the ball to keep those drives going. That 92-yard drive, that was 12 plays. Like, that's multiple first downs. A lot of runs in there. I just think we can't get this from Devon every game, obviously. 200-something yards, it's not. I mean, Jonathan Taylor eclipsed that day because Jonathan Taylor's an alien, apparently. But 60 yards receiving, 170 plus, that's a lot of yards for one person. But what he did today is what he should be. It's the reason why when people called the trade for him, we just said, nah, y'all can keep that. Whatever you're offering, we don't want it. Because he's special. But he can only be special for real if the pieces around him work. I said this to a friend. The difference between Devon Achane, to me, this year and maybe last year, and what Saquon Barkley did last year was that Saquon has breakaway speed. We've seen it. He literally had 2,000 yards last year, right? But Philadelphia was consistently giving him holes. So he would do his job, press the hole, bounce us out, whatever, and then an open field, he would be gone. I feel like we as an old offensive line haven't given Devon enough of those blocking schemes. We haven't done enough to just free him up. Philadelphia's line last year was godly. They had multiple All-Pros, Pro Bowls, whatever. We don't have to be that good. But if we're a top 15, 12 offensive line, if you just give Devon a couple of those gaps a game, he's so good at getting small. He's not a big guy anyway, but he's good at being small in between the tackles that he can squirt out of there and press those safeties and linebackers over and over and over again. If they take a bad angle, he's gone. He doesn't get caught from behind. And I just wish that we committed enough to the run. And we have a really elaborate run scheme in terms of how we design runs. Like, we fake a pitch this way, the offensive line pulls this way, and then we do a lot of that cool stuff, but it's at the point of attack, staying on the block and then getting to that second level of blocks. If you see, Detroit is really good at this. The offensive line will block the D lineman, right? They'll get off of those guys and get at least in the way of the linebackers. Sometimes actually just full on blocking them. And then you see Jahmyr Gibbs just running free. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is better than Devon Achane, but I don't think there's a big gap between them. I think they just block him a lot better, and then he takes advantage of the blocking. If we were just a little bit better, man, Devon really, he can have these games on the regular. You can have 10 carries for 40 yards and then one 60-yard carry. Like, he has that speed in him, and it's effortless speed. But we had to do more for him. Today, he showed up and showed out. Shout out to you, man. Again, the most electrifying man on the field today. Devon Achane, great game. So I teased this earlier about what's today Coach McDaniel's biggest win. And I think the biggest win of Coach McDaniel's tenure up to this point was the Broncos game where they scored 70 points. Because they literally could have scored 80 in that game, if not more than that. They called the dogs off. Robbie Chosen got a touchdown in that game. It was ridiculous. On Pastor Tam, which is even more out of control, but not important to this matter. The best game up to this point in his tenure was that 70-20 win against the Broncos, because that showed people he really is a genius. We see it on the field. This offense might be, greatest show on turf. It might be Minnesota with Randy Moss and Chris Carter. They were comparing us to a lot of different people. Points per game shot up through the roof. It was like, this is the best offense in the league. Tua looks great. And then we've had a lot of just middling, We've had wins, 10-win season, 9-win season. Not good in the playoffs, obviously. We beat Buffalo once in Miami during the tenure. I get all that stuff. But we haven't beaten a team that was this much better than us, like at least on paper and all that, at a critical moment where the team was falling apart. I mean, we've been on a losing streak. No other way to say it. Going out there just getting pushed around by teams that are not better than us or shouldn't be winning by these margins. Let's put it that way. They might be better than us, but they shouldn't be winning like this. And it's been like fans have been flying like flyers in the sky, fire everybody. We just got rid of the GM. We had a trade deadline that was underwhelming. A lot of questions about the coaching staff, a lot of questions about the team. Complete rebuild, getting rid of Tua, dead cap, all this conversation going into the game. And then he somehow stabilized the team enough, caught the right idea, the right game plan, got the coaching staff where they needed to be, drew it up, and then executed the game plan. Buffalo didn't score until the fourth quarter in this game. When's the last time you've seen Buffalo not score for 3 quarters during the Josh Allen tenure? I'll wait. I don't remember. I remember them losing games. They lost to Baltimore last year in the regular season by, I think, almost 30 points. But, they still scored earlier in that game. They just couldn't stop them from scoring. But they looked inept on offense. Josh looked frustrated. He looked like, where are these guys coming from? I mean, Juju Brents, shout out to Juju. I didn't mention him earlier. He was everywhere. And he was only in the game because Rasul Douglas couldn't play. It was the most inspired the team has played, I think, this year. I mean, the Atlanta game was a good one, but it's the most inspired against a team that was at that caliber. Everybody seemed in lockstep. That's what I saw. Because I kept waiting, and I'm sure some of y'all felt the same way, watching the game. Okay, the run is going to come at some point. At some point, Josh is going to start making plays, which he did. At some point, the offense might go 3 and out a couple times, which we kind of did. At some point, there may be a turnover on our fault. There was. And you kept wondering, once it was 16-6, I was like, is this it? Because had they gotten a 2-point conversion, 1-point game. But then the defense stood up right then. Now it's still a 2-point conversion. I mean, it's a 2-possession game. And then Devon breaks the long run. And we go up again. It's like, oh, that's not typically what the Dolphins do. Go up 16-0. Now it's 16-8. Go 3 and out. Buffalo scores again. 16 up. Now it's late in the fourth quarter. Who's going to make the play? That's how that story normally goes. And this time it was 16-0, 16-6, 23-6. And it was like, oh, then they scored. Then we scored again. It was like every time they punched, we punched back. No one looked shaky. I didn't see any, pre-snap penalties where I was like, oh, boy, the team's not locked in. Oh, these boys are scared. They didn't look scared. They look like we're the better team. We should win. We expect to win. And I think that's the best thing I can say about Coach McDaniel. Best win, honestly, of his career, I think, up to this point. I don't know how it bowls for the rest of the season. But I've been saying for the last week or two in episodes, I think he's coming back. And I think if the defense keeps playing like this, you might see Coach Weaver back as well. And I don't know if we can just tell the fan base we're going to run it back next year. I don't know how that works. But if they keep playing like this, I think that might end up being the case. I for sure think Coach McDaniel is coming back at this point, barring any collapse late in the year. But shout out to Coach, man. I think you did a great job today, along with everybody else. No, I got no red flags on the day. I think everybody played really well today. I'm happy. I'm proud. I want to keep this feeling going. We have the next game is in Spain. We'll talk about that throughout the week. But shout out to the Dolphins fan. Shout out to the Dolphins, man. You made us happy for the day. I appreciate that. But as always, y'all, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. Thank y'all for the likes and the subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.